Hello, everyone. So, Russians and clothes. In my opinion, from my experience in Russia, and from what I've spoken to with Russians about this topic, Russians tend to judge people by their clothes more than we do in America. Like in America, I think like everyone is brought up to know that you don't judge someone by what they're wearing or their outer appearance. You judge them by their actions and their personality and everything, right? Not by how they look on the outside, or whether their physical features or the clothes they're wearing, because that's superficial, right? Not kinda, it is. But Russians tend to judge you by your clothes. My student was telling me they even have a saying that like, I judge you first by your outer appearance, and then I judge you by your inner appearance. Right? So the first thing they say about you is their clothes, and then your clothes, and they make a assumption about what kind of person you are, which I think is so stupid and so shallow. And I don't care whatsoever about clothes, right? Or about fashion or anything like that. My wardrobe consists of the clothes that I've been wearing basically since I was a kid, because they're the most comfortable for me, and that's what I like wearing, and I don't care what anyone thinks. Basically, my wardrobe consists of cargo pants, sweatshirts, shorts, and t-shirts, and some sweaters, and a black suit, and numerous ties for when I go to the opera or concert. And that's about it. And one pair of dress shoes and one pair of sneakers. So, but Russians, like the police, when they stop me, they usually ask me, why are you dressed like that? And I'm like, what? I'm out for a walk. Because Russians tend to like maybe dress up more. I've even watched videos where like Europeans talk about how Americans dress more scruffy, right? Like they'll wear like sweatpants and stuff when they're in the middle of the city or something, and which Europeans don't do. Europeans tend to dress up more in general, I think, or not like in a suit or formally, but I don't know. Like the stereotype about Americans is that we wear sweatpants and t-shirts and baseball caps and sneakers all the time. But yeah, Russians tend to like dress up more. Like even in the park, you'd see them in like dress shoes and slacks a lot of times, and or like in the stores, like if you're leaving the house, they tend to dress a little nicer. And I don't care. I don't care anything about clothes. And so I just dress the way I usually dress. And like I said, the police see me. I don't think I'm dressed unusually or anything. I guess for my age, maybe it's unusual. Like my mom used to say, "Oh, yeah, you dress like a teenager." I'm like, I just dress in what I found comfortable and what I've always found comfortable, right? I'm not trying to pretend to be younger than I am or anything. But I guess like Russians and like the police, I guess they think that's like different, like for a person. Yeah, my aunt even said that. For a person, I was just in shorts and t-shirts and a and a cap. My aunt's like, for a person your age in Russia, people your age don't dress like that. That's why you stand out, right? And to stand out in Russia is like a bad thing. I don't try to stand out, but like Russians tend to dress more. Like they tend to, in general, they tend to conform more. Like in America, you would see. In America, you would see people dressed in all kinds of weird ways, like goths or punks. And I guess, yeah, if you see a goth, you would make an assumption about what his personality is and everything. But there can be, like, really nice goths, too. Just because they dress that way doesn't mean that they're, like, bad people or something, of course. But I think some people tend to dress more eccentrically, like in America. And in generally more brighter colors. I would say here, everyone just, I don't know, it's the same kind of style and more like subdued colors, like like if they're purposely not trying to, they're purposely trying not to be noticed or something. Like in America, a lot of people dress purposely to be noticed, right? So yeah, I think one of the reasons cops stop me is because and the way I'm dressed, and they're making an assumption he's dressed differently for someone his age, so he must either be a foreigner, meaning where you have to interrogate him and check his documents, or there's something wrong with him. Right? And the only people in America who ever criticized the way I was dressed, the way I dress actually, is my mom and my relatives. No one else. And the rare occasions I did get stopped by a cop, they never asked me, why are you dressed that way? Because I don't dress in any strange way. Okay, cargo pants and sweatshirts. And a cap. So, like the Russian cops, they asked me, what do I do? I'm like, I teach English and German. And they're like, Tim, why are you dressed like that? You're not dressed like a teacher. I'm like, because I'm not working now. I'm walking in the park. And actually, when I am teaching, I still wear shorts and a t-shirt. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, it was only in America, it was only my aunt and my mom who criticized the way I dress. And they would say, like, if you dressed more nicely, you would get more respect from people. And I would say, I don't care what people think about me. They should be thankful I'm not walking through the street nude. And mom like cringed. Yeah, you should be lucky I'm not walking down the street in a nude. So they shouldn't care how I'm dressed. They should just be thankful that I'm dressed. But I did notice definitely, like, so I like a couple days after I got stopped by the cops in the park for whistling, right? And they also said I look suspicious the way I'm dressed. I was kind of weary about going out because I didn't. And the next day I got stopped again because I didn't want to get stopped by the cops. But I had a ticket to the opera, to the matinee on Sunday. And after that, I wanted to go into the center. But I was kind of worried because, especially in the center, there's a lot of cops, and I didn't want to get stopped again. Like the other day, the cop stopped me. I made a video about that for 45 minutes because I was whistling in the park. Um, so, so after the opera, I'm dressed in my suit and tie, and I decide to go to the center. It's about a 10-minute walk. The Kremlin is a 10-minute walk from the Opera House. And I just hung out there all evening, walking all around the Kremlin, like the most secure area in Russia. So has the most cops around, like the Kremlin, where the government and buildings are and everything. Well, that and military factories. And no cops stopped me once, even though that's the area where there's the most cops. All right. Why? I assume because I was dressed in a suit and tie, and they're like, okay, I don't look, even though I was overdressed, everybody else was dressed casually. I was the only one walking around the Kremlin dressed in a suit and tie. But police saw me and didn't think I looked suspicious. On the contrary, they probably thought, oh, this guy has a good job, probably. And, you know, he's not a terrorist. And I don't know. So, yeah, it does, in Russia, it does matter what kind of clothes you wear. Because, yeah, people tend to judge you on your clothes. So, if I'm wearing a suit, the cops won't stop me. If I'm wearing cargo pants and a sweatshirt and a cap, they'll stop me. Or if I'm wearing shorts, they'll stop me. Right? No, sorry. So I came back late at night. It was the same day, actually. So I have this neighbor that, okay, we like, okay, okay, we, like in the apartment where I live, there's this like communal kitchen, but I never use it because like shared between two apartments. Well, I never use it because I have my own kitchen, right? But to get to my flat, I have to walk through this like communal hallway. So I often run into the neighbor, and she's like a stereotypical grumpy old woman. And she lives with her son and her wife, and actually her son and wife and grandchild lives with her. It's her flat. And but she's always grumpy. She should be happy. Well, her husband died many years ago. But she's always like grumpy and shouting and everything. And we say hello to each other, but she's always like, pretty good. And she like growls hello to me. And sometimes she says hello first sometimes, but it's always like in a reluctant, growling way. And she's never showed me 1 ounce of respect. Right? Never. On the contrary, she kind of treats me with like passive aggressiveness. Definitely with passive aggressiveness. Maybe because I'm an American. Probably because I'm an American. And definitely she treats me with this kind of passive aggressiveness. And sometimes not even passive. So, so then I was coming home. And okay, the lock was broken. And they knew the lock was broken going into the main hallway. Or our main hallway. And, but they locked it anyway. So I'm banging on the door, like, open up, this is Andrew, right? You know, why did you lock it? You know, the lock is broken. And finally, after a long time, because they were sleeping, it was like 11 o'clock at night, she opens the door, and she just looks at me so surprised. Because I'm dressed in a suit and tie, and I guess she never saw me in a suit and tie, right? And she let me in, and she was like, I didn't think anybody would be out there. She was just looking at me, staring at me like surprised, like she didn't even recognize me, right? And she was like, I didn't think anybody would be out this late. And so next morning, I run into her son, and I'm talking with him. And she comes up to me, like really nice, and she's never been nice or ever initiated a conversation with me. She's like, "Who was that beautiful man last night? She, he was dressed so nicely, and he was so beautiful." I'm like, that was me. You know it was me. You let me into the hallway. She's like, yeah, I thought I recognized you, but you look so beautiful, and you look like a real man. And she was saying it with like such admiration and everything. You're such a beautiful man. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. She's like, where were you coming from? And I'm like, the opera? She's like, the opera? I'm like, yeah, I go to the opera like 2 or 3 times a month. I'm like, wow. She was like really surprised, and the first time she actually showed me respect and admiration. She was like, I just opened the door, and I was shocked to see such a beautiful man standing there. The only thing that I changed about my normal self was that I was wearing a suit and tie. And that impressed her so much. She thinks that I'm a beautiful man. And she actually, for the first time in her life, showed me some respect and even admiration. So yeah, that's a good description of how clothes are really important to Russians. And clothes mean absolutely nothing to me. It's just a way to protect you from the weather. And actually, I don't like it how people judge you by your clothes, or your judge like what class you are or something, or how much money you make, or what kind of person you are by your clothes, right? I really don't like that, because it's so shallow and superficial. The only thing you should judge someone by is their actions and their personality, because clothes does not matter. But yeah, obviously, I mean in America too, obviously, clothes give a impression of. But like I said, I don't think Americans judge people by their clothes as much, because they realize that's a superficial thing to do. So, but we do have a stupid saying in English, like, clothes make the man. I think that's so stupid. But obviously my neighbor would agree. It was just, it was weird how she was just like almost enamored by this beautiful man she saw standing in the doorway. You see me almost every day, but not like that. It was weird. So, any other stories about clothes? When I was working with workers, and even like in New York City, I was working for my cousin's company, and he hired all Russian workers from Russia because he's also from Russia, and my cousin's husband. Anyway, and so we were working in construction, and so like after the day is over, the Russian workers would change all their clothes, right? Every part of their clothes, right? Out of their work clothes into very nice clothes, right? Kind of like business casual or something. And, meticulously get dressed and make sure every strand of their hair is in place and everything. And I just pat off the dust from my jeans and just go home, and they're like, don't you change into street clothes? You can't walk in the street in your work clothes. work clothes. What were they? Jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, why not? They're like, because they're work clothes, and you'll give people the wrong impression about you if you're walking in the street in your work clothes. I'm like, what impression will I give them? That I'm a worker? I am a worker, right? Minutes and 45 but they got dressed up. I'm like, where are you going? Going out to a club or something? No, we're just going home. But, you can't go on the metro in work clothes. You can't go on the subway in work clothes. I'm like, in America, you can. So, yeah. Clothes are important to Russia. And clothes means absolutely nothing to me. I'm walking in the hills in the bare minimal of what I need to wear. Just in case people are walking by. I'm just walking in shorts. No shirt or anything. Why? It's summer. Why wear clothes if you don't have to? And so, yeah. It's really annoying to be judged just because by the clothes you wear. It's not like I wear, like, I don't know, clothes that make me look like a bum. I don't think so. I just wear comfortable clothes, but so any other clothes stories? I just find it really annoying. Oh yeah, my mom used to mention that too. About I should dress nicer. And my cousins used to mention that too. Like when we're adults. I don't care. And actually the way I dress does say something. It says I don't care about clothes. Which, yeah, that's a part of who I am. I don't care about clothes. I think that's so cool. Seeing the tops of the trees like that. The only time I care about clothes is when I'm going to the opera or classical music concert. Then I dress nicely. And like make sure I look good. Because like dressing nicely at the opera is like sign of respect to the singers and the whole institution and to the music. And it's like traditional to dress up as nice as you can when you go to opera. Not that everyone does that. I'm usually the best dressed at the opera now. Because nowadays you can dress more casually and like there's no dress code at the opera. But I still keep the old tradition. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. Okay, goodbye, anyone. Anyone? Everyone. If I think of something more about clothes, I'll make another video. Okay, goodbye. Do swidania. Auf Wiedersehen.